That's Coming On Strong with Brenda Lee right here on WUSC-FM, and I have on the telephone with me right now the star of Stage Screen and Mini Records, Ron Dante. How you doing, Ron?
I am fine. How are you doing, Rick?
I'm doing good.
Great.
For folks who don't remember, Ron, despite the fact I've been playing some of your music this morning, you were the lead man for a couple of, studio bands? Is that what they used to call those things?
They called us ghost groups.
Ghost groups, that's right. So you were the voice of the Archies.
Yes.
And then you were also the voice of the Cufflinks. So you had Sugar and Sugar and Tracy were two of your big hits way back in the late 60s and early 70s.
Oh, I love doing those groups. I was the voice of maybe 10 groups at different times, but those were the two biggest ones.
You were the vocal equivalent of the Wrecking Crew, weren't you?
I was the whole thing. I mean, I would go in the studio and they'd say, I'd sing the lead, and I'd double track my voice, multi-track my voice. Then they'd say, well, now make up some backgrounds. And I'd just make up some backgrounds on the spot that I felt would be appropriate for the song. And it ended up sounding like a group.
Yes, as a matter of fact, you're the only vocal artist on both of those tracks, aren't you?
Well, on the Cufflinks, all of them. But on Sugar Sugar, there was a girl voice. And her name was Tony Wine.
Oh, yeah.
Very famous writer, singer, who actually, Tony Wine did the I'm Gonna Make Your Life So Sweet section in the middle. And she went on to write Groovy Kind of Love and Candida.
Oh, yeah, two great songs.
She's still on the road. She performs with Tony Orlando.
Yeah.
That's it. But I did the majority of voices on most of my records.
Yeah. With respect to Sugar, there were a couple of producers, Jeff Barry and Andy Kim.
Well, Jeff Barry was the main producer, and Andy Kim was the co-writer.
The co-writer, okay.
Yeah, of Sugar Sugar and a couple of our follow-ups. Andy had his own career, of course, with Rock Me Gently. He went on to have a big #1 on his own as a solo artist. Yep. But they came up with Sugar Sugar for me, and I thank them forever.
That's true. It's really been, well, it wasn't your first song, right?
It wasn't the first. No. I was singing many years before that. Yep. The first song we ever put out was a single with the Archies called "Bang Shang-a-Lang."
Yes,
which got a lot of play, and I was very happy to be part of the Archie universe, which is still doing well. It still wouldn't believe that the comics are very successful, and there's a TV show coming out called Riverdale on one of the networks, kind of a Friends type of TV show. Yeah, live action. So I'm happy that the Archies are still doing well.
As a matter of fact, I was thinking of another group that you were with before then called the Detergents. Where did he find that? He's saying.
Where did you come up with my original? That was a parody group. It was actually just a studio session I did with a couple of friends of mine for their uncle who had written some hit songs, and they said this is just going to be a parody of Leader of the Pack, the Shangri-La's great record, #1 record. But it was a very funny record, The Detergents. They named us The Detergents, and we actually toured with that record for about a year with the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars. Did you
wear brown shirts when you toured with the group?
we had a bunch of jokes about us. Oh yeah, our group went down the drain.
By the way, we haven't named the song. The name of the song was "Leader of the Laundromat."
yes, it was very funny.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, I've got it in my queue somewhere, and a little bit later on in the show, I'll be playing that song for everybody so you can hear.
Well, it's really an odd song. If you know Leader of the Pack, it's really a hoot.
Yeah.
And I must say, the Shangri-Las were very kind to let us perform on the same bill with them. They would go out and do their show, and then we come out after theirs and do our parody songs, because we did 2 or 3 parodies of different songs. We did a James Bond parody and a Western parody, all kinds of things. But it was a fun time. It really got me out of my, my small town in New York City and got me on the road. So I was very happy to be part of the Detergents. We did 10 TV shows. I mean, it was great. We got to be on Dick Clark's show and, Shindig and Hullabaloo, all these TV shows at the time.
And there was another group way back in the day called the Cabin Kids, a little song called Little Lollipop.
Yeah, we do. Well, it was actually the Cabin Kids were a group that Don Kirshner, a big famous music guy from the 60s who had all of us signed to his music publishing company, asked us to put together. He said we should become the East Coast Beach Boys. So he said form the Cabin Kids. So we wrote our brains out. We wrote all these kinds of things about boats and water and things. And then we got, and so funny, the Cabin Kids became the Detergents. The same guys who were in that group, we had the opportunity to go out, so we just changed our name and we went out as the detergents once we had a hit. Because we sold about 1 million records of our detergent records. Cabin Kids was very short-lived.
And you've also done some disco, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dante's Inferno?
You know, Rick, I tried everything. You know, as things changed, as music evolved. If I were cutting records today and I was 20 years old, I'd probably be doing, a grunge or rap, or the different types of boy groups. I put a group together called Dante's Inferno, and we had a couple of singles out and a big album that was all red vinyl. Nobody does that anymore, but it was like you take the album out of the case and there it is, all pure red. It was so cool for Dante's Inferno, of course, because it was on fire.
What label was that?
It was called Infinity.
But the Infinity label, okay, yeah.
It was a very cool label, and they were distributed by, I think, 20th or one of those companies.
Wow.
It was a fun time to do disco, because disco opened up. You could do almost anything in disco. As long as you had the bass foot, pounding away, you could put any kind of song to it and maybe have a hit.
You were originally from the East Coast, though, Staten Island, where you were born?
Yes, Staten Island, one of the nice boroughs there in New York City. You'd have to take a ferry boat to get to Manhattan, where all the music publishers were. But I would take it every day, and when I was taking it, was a quarter.
Oh yeah.
You would get a nice trip across the bay and see the Statue of Liberty, and take a subway to the Brill Building and the music industry.
I was just about to ask you about the Brill Building. Had you had much time in there?
Yes, I did. I was signed to a publishing company there. Bobby Darin had a publishing company, a music publishing company called TM Music, and I was signed there for a couple of years. And he would come in and listen to our songs, and the building itself was full of music people. Oh yeah, managers, record companies, publishers, record studios. It was a mecca of great music. And you would go through you'd get off the elevator, and in the lobby there'd be a group auditioning in the lobby. Because it had kind of a good echo, and it still does. And I remember people making deals at the little coffee shop on the side of the building. You'd meet aspiring songwriters. I met Paul Simon in those alleyways in the elevator once. He was just working with Garfunkel, trying to get his songs published. He was just plugging songs. I mean,
it's like the mecca of at least East Coast rock and roll. I mean, with Carole King and all those folks, Stiller and those guys all working in the same building. The interesting thing to me about the building is the facade itself. It's all brass, which was a little unusual.
It's very unusual, and and there's a big statue, a bust of Mr. Brill above the doorway as you walk in. It's been there for 100 years. It was a lucky building. It was a very lucky building. There's another building across the street, directly across the street, called 1650 Broadway. And nobody knows about that, but that was also a mecca. It had the rest of the music publishers and the record companies were right across the street. So you'd spend your day going back and forth between those two buildings, trying to get your songs recorded, or get a manager, or get a record company, maybe get a break.
Were there actually recording studios in that building?
Yes, there was in 1650 downstairs. There was a recording studio, and on the second floor of the Brill Building, they built studios. Recording studios. In fact, Lorne Michaels has his entire offices on the second floor. The guy does Saturday Night Live. He and Paul Simon have offices in the Brill Building still on the
even
second
today.
floor.
Wow, that's incredible.
This day.
I mean,
they love it. Paul Simon never left the building.
Ground zero of rock and roll. There you are.
It was great. There was always something going on, and it was a wonderful time in the music industry. You could actually walk in a company, and maybe somebody would listen to your song.
I think that's just incredible, because it was that big mecca. Everybody was there,
Everybody was there. You would bump into all the stars. Smokey Robinson would be walking down the street. You could stop him and get his autograph. I mean, it would be unbelievable.
Yeah. So you're living out in Los Angeles these days? Are you still?
Yes, I decided about 20 years ago to make my home in Los Angeles. A little more music industry out here. It really had moved west, a lot of it. And, it's wonderful out here because they're great recording studios. The artists live here, a lot of them, and there's movies and TV. So you can expose your songs to many, and your recordings to many different companies. And so it really has its own its own vibe out here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, speaking of TV, you actually broke out into a cartoon group called the Chan Clan, right?
Yes, it was based on the great character Charlie Chan and his kids. So it was done by the same guy who did the Archies. Don Kirshner did the music for it, and he brought me in to write all the songs and produce all the music for the Chan Clan. It was the first Asian America TV cartoon show.
Wow.
Done, and it still gets played sometimes on the Cartoon Network. I remember writing 24 songs for it and singing it. And the funny thing was, if you listen to the Chan Clan songs, it sounds just like the Archies.
I wonder why.
It has the same sound and wonderful songs, a lot of good songs in there. I mean, we never got them released, but I would love to get that album released someday.
You're still performing and recording today, right?
Oh, yes. I love music. It's been so good to me all my life, and it's constantly changing. And there's always another riff or another sound that you can add to your recordings or your songs. So I still get out and record. I perform many times a year. I just got back from Memphis, Tennessee, and did some shows down there. I'm doing a big cruise in January on Royal Caribbean, a big rock and roll legends cruise. I'll be on that with a bunch of my friends. As a producer, I'm in the studio constantly trying to discover the next big star. I'm working here with these two teenage girls from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Morgan and Tyler. And we're doing a hip-hop version of Sugar Sugar. Very different than my original, but really true to the song and true to their voices.
Oh, wow. That sounds like something I definitely got to hear.
I have great passion and enthusiasm for the music I make, and I love seeing the fans at the live shows. The people who come are just delightful.
Well, tell me about your new song, That's How You Know.
That's a song from one of the Disney movies, a princess movie. I forget the title, but I decided I would record that and do maybe 4 or 5 Disney songs from their films. I've done a couple of them that I really like. I even recorded my friend Bruce Johnston's Disney Girls on this kind of an extended CD that I put out soon.
Wow.
I just loved that song. I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to record it. I saw it in the movie. I said, well, that's a great song. And so I did it, and I hope people like it.
Well, let's find out right now, because we're going to take a chance. We're going to take a break from the interview here, come back after we hear Ron Dante's That's How You Know, right here on WUSC.
How do I know?
Ron Dante here on WUSC-FM, a little thing called That's How You Know. That's a great song. And you say
that's fun. It's such a great thing. I love the songs they put in Disney movies. Are just so cool. Look at the, Frozen soundtrack. It did so well.
Oh yeah. So what do you got? What are your plans for the future here, short term and long term?
Short term, just to continue doing my live performances. I am short term. I am putting out an anthology of some of my greatest ghost groups and some of my albums. I had 2 or 3 albums out at different times, and we're taking selected cuts from each album. So it'll be a 2 CD set, and we'll have 5 or 6 cuts from each one of my solo albums. And on the second CD will be all my ghost groups, about 16 of the groups that I did. These records were not available, but I still have the singles. So we're transferring them to digital, and the anthology will probably be out in January. And looking forward for my fans and my friends to get this, because there was like groups I had forgotten. I was the Web Spinners. I was the $2 Question. I was the California Incline. All kinds of groups that I put together. Usually there were songs that I demoed for people where they paid me to sing the demo, that they liked them so much they put them out under group names.
Wow.
So I'm lucky that I have all those singles, so we're going to put that anthology out. And I will continue to sing and produce also and discover new talent. I've just worked with a girl named Kylie Hughes from Malibu, who's she's into surf music, and I've written 2 or 3 songs with her that'll be out in January. So
wow.
Everything's good. I also produced on Broadway as a producer some musicals. One was called Ain't Misbehavin'.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking into a brand new musical that I'm developing with a good friend of mine who I work with the Cufflinks, a guy named Rupert Holmes, who had the Pina Colada song. Anyway, Rupert's a very talented Broadway writer now, and we're going to collaborate on a new Broadway show.
One thing we haven't talked about was your association with Barry Manilow.
Yes.
You were with him for quite a while, right?
Yes, Barry and I were. I was singing commercials for many years. I was a jingle singer. I've done a little bit of everything, but this jingle singing career, where singing commercials, was very big at one time. And I met this guy named Barry Manilow, who was on the jingle. He was just starting out in his career, and he said, I'd like to record as a soloist." And I listened to some of his songs, and he played me "Could It Be Magic," one of the records that were a big hit for him. And we went into the studio. I became his producer, and about a year later, Mandy came out. And we never left the charts for about 6 years. We just said, "Mandy, Copacabana, I write the songs, this one's for you." All kinds of records came out on songs that I produced on him.
So is it true?
Good association.
Yeah, is it true that Mandy's really about a dog?
No. Mandy was originally called Brandy.
Yes.
Written by a good friend of mine named Scott English.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott also wrote "Bend Me, Shape Me." It was one of his hits.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrote the song called Brandy, and it sent it to us, and we all said, well, there's already a Brandy song that was a hit, so we looked for a name, and I think somebody came up with the name Mandy. But it's not about a dog. It's a real girl. It's a beautiful love song, and some of the most beautiful lyrics of any pop song of the 70s.
Incredible.
Barry sang it just beautifully. That was a one-take vocal. I mean, he sang it live.
You're kidding me.
No, it was a magic session. Just three musicians and bass, drums, and piano, and Barry singing live, playing for himself and singing. And that was the take that we orchestrated around. Put some instruments together for back it.
Yeah.
And background vocals. The background vocals are just Barry and me singing oohs and ahs. But it worked.
It did.
We knew it the night we cut it. We said, we've all been waiting for lightning to strike, that something would come together, song, singer, and producer.
Wow.
And it all came together that night. And for about 10 years, Manilow and I made music together. It was very, very, very gratifying to be on the charts and to be so accepted.
Wow. I tell you, Ron, it's been a real pleasure for me to have you on today. I've been a fan of yours as well as being in the business for all these years, but and all the work you've done. I've been tracking a lot of it throughout the years and stuff on Broadway as well as on rock and roll. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk with us this morning. Have you guys have you got a tour coming to the Southeast anytime soon?
No touring, just a couple of sporadic dates. The tours will start to come in about a month for next year from me. Okay, well, if you make sure that we're aware of when you're going to be in the area, and we'll make sure that we get you some promotion for that too. So I would love to visit there. Yeah, excellent. Play there. That's one of my favorite spots in the States. Yeah. So if you'll hang on for a second after we go off the air here, we've been talking with Ron Dante, who is the lead singer for the Archies and for the Cufflinks, and in the music business for all these years, and has such a fantastic history here on WUSC-FM. This is WUSC-FM and HD1 in Columbia, South Carolina.